Welcome to the Classically Chloe Show. I'm your host, Chloe Castillo. Today I have an awesome guest with me, my friend Hannah Faulkner. We're going to bring her in just one second here. We're going to be talking about abortion today and how that has had an effect in our culture over the past few years with music. Stevie Nicks came out with a song called Lighthouse a few days ago, talking about how basically abortion is such an important thing in our society for women. And on. It's a very interesting video. We might play a little bit of it later. Let's go ahead and bring Hannah in. Hannah, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
So good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's great to have you. So,
Thank you so
Hannah, let's
much. I
talk about,
appreciate it.
of course, Hannah, let's talk about some of the stuff going on in the abortion world. So, I just want to look at this video. Stevie Nicks came out with a song called Lighthouse. Let's pull up the Breitbart article real quick. She says that it's a pro abortion anthem about the end of Roe v. Wade, and it may be the most important thing I ever do, to quote her. So, what do you think about that? I mean, I think it's disgusting. Of course, it's pretty obvious, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean it's sickening that we've reached a point in our country and our world where we have songs that are celebrating the murder of these babies. I hate calling them unborn, because when a husband and a wife or a family, they are pregnant with a child, they don't say, we're having an unborn child, they're having a baby, but we've gotten to a point in society where now we are seeing people celebrate about having an abortion, about murdering the life of their own child that they conceived. And if you look at even the debate between Kamala Harris versus Trump, if you look at Kamala Harris, I mean, the one thing that she was really excited about during the entire debate was abortion. And that was her most passionate moment, was when she was talking about abortion. And it really is sad, especially as a woman, and I'm sure you as well probably feel the same way, that this woman is celebrating, someone that has never even had a child herself is celebrating just killing babies. And even I think it was Elizabeth Warren that said that her greatest achievement as vice president has been that she has visited more Planned Parenthoods than any president or politician that we've seen in American history. And I'm like, is that really an accomplishment? So not only do we have this vice president, she's been deemed, as accomplishing that by visiting the most Planned Parenthoods over any other politician, but now we are seeing, like you said, Stevie Nicks and many other, he's not the first person to produce this, a song that's celebrating abortion. There's so many other people that have produced songs and put all over their social media pages. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. A hot topic in the news right now is, Taylor Swift. She has multiple times on multiple occasions, even at her own, celebrated abortion and, what they call quote unquote reproductive health care. I mean, your health care and your ability to reproduce starts before you walk into the bedroom. This is not about healthcare. Murder is not healthcare. Healthcare is when you are protecting and trying to save life. This is not healthcare whatsoever.
Totally agree with you there. Okay, so let's talk about Taylor Swift. You brought her up a minute ago. What do you think about Tim Waltz? I don't know if you saw that. I think I sent you a link to it. Tim Waltz very casually added in his closing statement at the debate last night, basically that Taylor's on my side. Vote for us. I think anybody who actually wants what's best for America is not going to be voting the Harris Waltz ticket. But with that said, what do you think about I guess they have this real need to appeal to people through culture. I think it's pretty smart, actually. So, what do you think about how they keep pulling in these cultural icons into their discussions?
Yeah, I mean, all of the cultural icons and pop stars that they have brought into their side, I don't think I'd want to listen to them on anything political or try to gain any moral stance from them, especially coming from, a woman who has written songs since the beginning of her career about how, she's had wrecked relationships and, all of these her bad choice in men, and now all of a sudden she's choosing Kamala Harris, and we as young people want to listen to her. Absolutely not. I do think that Gen Z and young people as a whole aren't fooled by their strategy to get people like Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj, all of these singers. And you look, and even at Kamala Harris, many of her rallies in the beginning, I know she got a lot of flack, so she hasn't done it as much, but she was bringing these rappers to come on stage, twerk on stage, using the most sexually explicit, profane music. And I'm like, who is listening to her? First off, I mean, I know so many even liberals that were saying, this is not professional. This is not professional at all. She is, running for the United States of America, for president over the United States of America. And her way to get young people is to get people on stage twerking and using some sexually explicit lyrics. I mean, how disgusting. So I think it really is sad the way that, the strategy that they have tried to use and tried to appeal to Gen Z. But I think that the conservative movement and really the Republican Party, maybe can take some notes here, and that we should be uplifting, conservative artists, and like Jimmy Levy, and you work with, remind me their name. It's not what's the
Hadas
name of
Levy.
the singer? It's a yes, her, but then the two guys, or maybe it's just one guy. I forgot his name.
I'm
He's
not sure,
you
but
did
there's
some songs with him.
Forgiato Blow, the Trump
Yes,
Latinos.
that's it. I don't know why.
Okay,
Yes.
so Hannah, so you just said that the conservatives need to bring in more of these kind of ideas from the left, actually, not ideologies, but like their approach to appealing to Gen Z. And I think you're really spot on there. So I just looked it up. Nicki Minaj has 227 million followers on Instagram alone. So I think we make a mistake as conservatives by just kind of brushing it off as, oh, that's stupid, it looks bad, it's unprofessional. It is, and we're so right about that. But when you look at their following, it's massive. And so I think that there's really no denying that they're having an effect on our culture. They're having an effect on Gen Z. And then that, of course, is going to influence how they vote, even if it's not so much, I talked about this before, not just so much about a specific endorsement of a candidate. That, of course, I think has a little bit of a sway, not enough to really sway an election one way or the other completely. But I think that it really has an effect when you get these ideologies into culture over time. You have 200, this is just her, 227 million people who are following her and look at this content every day on Instagram. So it's got to be having an effect, even if it's just normalizing it to people. Like, it desensitizes you to it. Even if you don't agree with her, you're used to seeing it. And then, of course, when those ideologies are being pushed on you politically, you're going to be more, I think, susceptible to them. Anyway, and then earlier we were also talking a little bit about the abortion thing with Stevie Nicks. And the thing about that is that when she came out with that song, it's not the first one. We had Demi Lovato did her song "Swine." Billie Eilish went on stage at a Texas concert one time, I believe it was, and she was talking about how horrible the Texas abortion ban was and how disgusting. She said she almost didn't come to the concert because she wanted to punish Texas, but not her fans, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just really sad to see them act like this, you know? But the thing is that I believe, I could be wrong about this, so I apologize if I am. I believe JD Vance said it was last night, I think, in the debates, that we don't need to just look at this as far as legislature goes with the abortion bans. We need to look at this. We need to win back society. We need to win back the American people on how they stand on this issue. And I think one way that we need to do this is through culture, and of course that being through music too, because we didn't just get here overnight. It's like, we've been seeing this kind of ideology seeping into our culture over time, and now it's getting more and more relevant as we see it unfolding on the political stage too. So, what do you think Gen Z wants to see the conservative movement do, culturally speaking, I guess, especially with music?
Well, I think ultimately, I 100% agree. If we really want to change our country, we've got to start with culture. We've got to start in the home. That's why I believe the greatest threat to our country, the greatest threat to the globalist agenda, ultimately, and the greatest issue that we're facing is the breakdown of the family. I
Yeah.
think that the feminist movement, and like you said, through music, has completely destroyed our male and female roles in society. I mean, men and women are constantly being pitted against one another, trying to pit us against one another as enemies. We're not enemies. God has created men and women for a distinct purpose, and we have distinct roles in our society. And I think when we recognize those roles, we can flourish. We can have a flourishing and thriving society. I don't think it's any coincidence that not only do we have over 23% of our generation identifying as LGBTQ, but we are also the most depressed, the most suicidal, anxiety-ridden generation, both male and female, that we've seen in human history. And I don't think it's any coincidence when you look at music, the music, the things that we're putting into our brains every single day, the educational system, the ideologies that they're trying to teach these children. And you talk about culture and abortion. We don't need abortion. 97% of abortions are for sexual convenience. Abortion would never even be in the thought of people's head. If you talk about the 90s, over 97% of them are for sexual convenience. You wouldn't even need, things like birth control. I mean, you look at, okay, and I'm going to offend some people right here, but if you look at the history of birth control, why was birth control, the pill, even, formulated by Margaret Sanger in the first place? Well, she introduced this for population control because she wanted to eliminate the quote unquote unfit of society. Well, who was she targeting? The Black community. So this bill right here was created by Margaret Sanger to eliminate the Black population. And you look at, the entire Democratic Party, nearly every single thing that they're standing on is about population control, climate change. If you really care about the earth, you won't have as many kids. You'll really care. You'll prioritize, the environment, the earth over your family. If you if you want to live and sexual pleasure and get to do whatever you want wherever you want, you need to make sure that you're using contraception, buying into the pill, which has destroyed so many young girls' lives, beyond just not wanting to get pregnant. They've pushed this lie that's going to help you with your acne or XYZ, whatever it may be. And now so many young girls aren't even able to have children because of this pill. So there's such a strategic and very meticulously planned out agenda by these communists. Ultimately, I mean, this is a communist agenda, whether people want to hear it or not. People from communist countries that have lived under communism will say it more than anyone else could say it. And they're frightened by what's happening in America, because they realize that the same thing happened under Mao's Cultural Revolution, happened under the Soviet Union and Russia. So I think ultimately, you talk about, to answer your question about what does Gen Z really want. For me as a Gen Zer, and I'm sure as a fellow Gen Zer, and a young female, I think if we really want to take back culture, if we really want to reduce the abortion rate, we have to start in our homes and encouraging, pushing back against hookup culture, pushing back against women getting on OnlyFans and selling their body. I mean, you have to have a level of respect for yourself. Something I love about you is, we're pushing, make America classy again, classically Chloe, like getting back to a level, in society where people are dressing modestly. They're not going to the airport, looking like frumps. I'm sorry, but it bugs me. Two things, people will dress like they have no clothes on, or they don't care, and they'll wear literally whatever they want. And I'm getting on a rant here, but I think really, it starts in the home, and
I
the
love
things
it.
that you are allowing your kids to do, the things you're allowing your kids to watch, and really pushing back against this hookup culture.
Yeah, I think something else there too is like you said, when like, you go to the airport, for example, and you have someone who just rolled out of bed, or you have somebody, and I don't care if it's 5 in the morning, you still look good when you go to the airport. If you you either just rolled out of bed, or it looks like, you have nothing on. And it's so true, and it bugs me too. I am right there with you on that one. But the thing is that Gen Z, um, or the youth rather, I think the youth always kind of have a really big say in shifting culture, because they're kind of in charge of what's cool or what's new or and I think that we need to pay attention to that as conservatives and as parents, like in the home, not us, but as the parents in America who are conservative, who want to see a change here. I think it's important that their kids are raised with a culture other than just leftist culture, but that isn't always just strictly like Bible study and the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. And that's extremely important in a home. But you have to instill some kind of culture that isn't leftist, but that has good values. And so, I mean, it's just so important. But you talked about Margaret Sanger and how her goal was to basically reduce the population, and that population being the Black people. And that's so true, especially when you look at the musicians who are especially disgusting. It's targeted at the Black community. I think it's very interesting that so many of these disgusting, degenerate artists are, I really think, targeting the Black community in America, and it's sad because why are we still, as the left? I mean, they are the party of slavery, and you really see that because one way you can be enslaved is your mind is enslaved to things like porn and to these, ways of life, such as just getting pregnant with no husband, and then your husband leaves the home, blah blah blah. This is very common in that community, and it's very sad, being raised with no father. I think that something we need to look at, though, is that this culture isn't just staying in the Black community, which is bad enough as it is. It's also spreading out across America as kind of the plantation mindset that they've tried to instill in the Black community is now spreading everywhere. And now we have, no matter what color, no what race, whatever you are, the same mindset, the same culture is everywhere. And so if you want to look at how the Black community has been somewhat, I guess, suppressed by the Democratic Party for so many years by keeping them in this mindset, now they're trying to put it on everybody else too. And so it's like, pay attention, America. This is not just in one place, which is bad enough. It's now they're using that same, I guess, platform, that same idea everywhere.
That's right. No, and this is what, I always say that this is not just an American issue. These issues that we're fighting in America are not just, issues that are solely in America. These have become global issues, and I think that's when you realize that, oh my word, this is permeating our entire world. These ideas, and I mean, if you look, even talk about Margaret Sanger, she went all over the UK. She was traveling all over Europe,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get this idea about birth control and abortion, and removing all restraints on sexual behavior. She did not want to have any restraints on sexuality, and it's interesting because Lenin actually said the same exact thing. Lenin and several other leaders during the Soviet Union said that if they wanted to create a society of chaos, they had to remove all restraints on sexuality. And a lot of this stuff was funded under the Soviet Union was funded by the bankers. It was funded by the wealthy in society.
Mm.
And we come to America, who was funding Margaret Sanger's agenda? Who was funding Planned Parenthood and the feminist movement? The Rockefellers, among many other very, very prominent wealthy elites. I hate calling them elites because they're really what they are is they're peasants. They care nothing, or parasites, not peasants. They're parasites. They care nothing about the people. They care nothing about the American people and what is best for
True.
them. All they want is power and control. And talk about the Black community, and it's really sad because right now the president of Planned Parenthood is a Black woman. The president of the largest feminist movement, or the largest feminist organization right now, is also a Black woman. And for me, as a white person, which I don't like seeing color, but that's I'm white. It saddens me because this was Margaret Sanger, white racist eugenicist. Her agenda was to erase the Black population, and it saddens me, now looking at the history of Margaret Sanger, what her goals agenda was, and then now looking at that now the president over her organization is a Black person who wanted to exterminate that race. It's really sad. And I think that's why, what you're saying and the things that you're fighting against, like music and culture and getting back to the roots of it, is so important because that's how easily people can be duped and lied to and be blinded. This lady has no idea. If she does, she's so just blinded by what Margaret Sanger actually wanted for society that she's still willing to be president over the organization that was created to exterminate her race. So it really is sad, but I think that's why it's so important that we as conservatives continue to fight back through music, through the things that we're talking about. When you go to conservative events, I think a lot of them will, use music from the left. Actually, this girl on my show said, well, I really think Taylor Swift's music is good for women in their 20s. And I'm like, because they're single? I like, why would you put that on them? Like, why would you say that this music is good for women in their 20s? No, like it's not good for, like, it's funny. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Are you just saying that all 20-year-old
Yeah.
women are single and need to be depressed and listen to Taylor Swift's music? Regardless, I completely agree with you, and I think that if we really want to change our country and our world, it starts with the culture and it starts in the homes.
Oh, you're spot on. I got all messed up there in my speech. Sorry. Yes, you are spot on. Taylor Swift is such an interesting character. I'd like to do like a whole show with some of thes conservatives that are such huge fans of her. I just want to talk. I want to hear about it. I think it's so interesting. Like it fascinates me the obsession over her. I think it's so interesting. But it's funny you said that. Like she has these songs. I look in people's windows, and I mean it gets really weird really fast. I think it's hilarious actually. But the thing is she is having an impact on what young people are thinking.
Yeah.
She is having an impact on that mindset, and so you got to be careful. And I actually, I was at the Texas Youth Summit a few weeks ago, and Wesley Hunt, I spoke with him for a little bit, and he was telling me, I think that Taylor Swift has absolutely no impact on what's happening politically. And I was like, well, I mean, I understand that maybe the endorsement itself isn't having a huge impact. Supposedly, she's actually lost a lot of followers since she did that. So it was kind of interesting. But I think it's as people who are in office, people who are lawmakers, they need to really be paying attention to the fact that and I like Wesley Hunt, by the way. I think he's a great guy. But I think that we need to be paying attention to the fact that Gen Z and, of course, now Gen Alpha we're looking at too, they're being raised by these artists. And whether or not they're voting right now or not, those ideologies are being instilled now. And if we don't do something about it, it's going to keep being instilled no matter who is the president at the current time. So it's so true. It does start in the home, and it does start with culture. And I think that's just a really good approach to taking back America, honestly. And then, of course, mixed with some really good politicians in there too who are actually doing something good for our nation, like Donald Trump. I am just praying every day that we have a free and fair election in the next few weeks. Anyway, Hannah, thank you so much for coming on. That was such a fun discussion. Where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chloe, for having me. I'm so proud of the work you're doing and the songs that you're producing and just fighting back against all of this degeneracy. I think we need more of it. It's so important, and your work is crucial in this movement. But your listeners can find me at cultureof1776.com. That's my website. It'll take them to all my social medias, my newsletter, and then also I have some merch that they can check out on the website. But my Instagram also is Hannah Faulkner 1776, and then my show is the Hannah Faulkner Show on Rumble.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And thank you guys for watching. You guys make sure you go follow Hannah, check out her show. It's awesome. I've been on it a couple times and it's just such a hoot. I love being there with Hannah. She's just a great host and I always have the best time with her. Hannah, thank you so much for all your encouragement with this mission of mine too. I really appreciate it. From the very beginning, Hannah's been, I think she was my first guest ever actually when I started the show a while ago. And so I just appreciate it. I love other young people who are getting involved like this. So thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go follow Hannah Faulkner. She is an awesome Gen Z patriot. And please also follow myself. You can find me at classically_Chloe on Instagram and classically Chloe on all other platforms to support this mission. And one more thing, please do go subscribe to this podcast. It's going to be on Rumble, YouTube, and Spotify. So please go check it out. Stay updated for the next episode. God bless. See y'all next time.